It was the case here, as it was said to be the highest in England, while plunging as 3 separate waterfalls into a large and cavernous potholed chamber that was well known to cavers. The idea that cavers and waterfallers could share their hobbies in a location this remarkable gave me the impression that 2 worlds were actually clashing. The journey to reach the cave entrance, where the erratic weather made success uncertain, added to the adventure and atmosphere of the entire event. Also, this was limited by the fact that there were only 2 winch meets every year, which allowed people to descend into the dark recesses of the gaping gill. In addition to the fact that the island of Skye was already brimming with natural beauty and history that made us yearn for a return journey to explore more of it. This waterfall was framed by the odd kilt rock, which, with a little imagination, can actually resemble the traditional Scottish clothing. Also, the area's surroundings were such that we might easily have lingered to take in views of the sea along the Great Cliffs and the reflected lake melt. The backdrop en route up here, which included views of Old Man's Store and the Bride's Veil waterfall, further contributed to the ambiance and scenic appeal of this waterfall. The allure of this remote falls, which I had to earn with a long hike that took me through scenic glens, then through tundra-like moors, Bealoch in Gaelic, before dropping down to the abyss-like gorge. I literally had to fight stomach butterflies as I peered over the cliffs to view this impressive waterfall that was 113 meters tall and couldn't even be seen in its full in a single photograph. In fact, being in such a hauntingly beautiful and natural environment naturally brought up strong emotions and a sense of belonging, as this experience did. Along with the difficulties we had pronouncing the name of the falls, it was fairly tough to get far from the majority of the tourist destinations in North and Mid Wales. We finally saw the beauty of this tower nestled in the midst of an incredibly serene and rural environment was worth it after enduring long rural drives and finally a tough single-lane road. This 240 feet, 73 meters, waterfall, one of the largest in Britain, also had a natural bridge that ran directly across the Afan Rhaeadr between its 2 drops, making it one of the uncommon locations where bagging a waterfall and an arch may be done simultaneously. This 120-meter waterfall, which was flanked by gorgeous mountains, Ben Nevis, the highest point in Britain, made its dramatic entrance in a vast open meadow after a hard climb up the Nevis Gorge. It was as if a play was nearing its conclusion. To go all the way to the waterfall's base, however, there was a spooky 3-wire bridge that across the water of Nevis. Indeed, when it came to seeing the falls, even the bothersome and relentless swarms of midges offered drama in a completely new way. This waterfalling experience was certainly anything but mediocre, therefore we felt compelled to include it on our list of the top 10 waterfalls in Great Britain. In order to subtly include 4 waterfalls in one entry, I selected out this waterfall, which was actually a part of the Brecon Beacons 4 Falls Walk. SGWD Clún Gwyn, SGWD Uaire, and SGWD Panwer, on the other hand, all had a more cumulative impact on the overall experience as they developed on me until it culminated in this impressive multi-tier. By the way, this hike proved to be surprisingly challenging, which is probably what transformed this fairly uninteresting trip into more of an adventure and ultimately made it much more memorable than I had anticipated. As you can see from this photo, despite being one of the highest waterfalls in Britain at 60 meters, it had more going for it than just its stats. We were able to see it from a variety of angles because, among other things, it was situated at the head of a magnificent V-shaped chasm and valley. But we also happened to be there when half of the V-shaped valley surrounding the falls was covered in purple heather mats. Despite the gloomy conditions, this produced a gorgeously brilliant image. I even prolonged my stay by hiking all the way to Loch Skeen's peaceful shoreline, which was a lake sourcing the Tailburn. Along the way, I even discovered more of the waterfall's unnoticed layers. I was pleasantly pleased by this waterfall's size and whole experience. Along with gazing at the 120 feet, 37 meters, waterfall, which looked taller than it was described as, I also had the opportunity to take in other lovely features of the falls. In fact, I saw sheep being herded, took in the sights of Aber Valley, delighted in the vistas of the falls being flanked by spectacular rocks, and even went to Rhaeadr Fach, another waterfall. It simply seems like this fall offered a lot of shocks, I guess. It therefore deserves to be on this list since I'm confident it will pleasantly surprise anyone who is prepared to travel to this area. That is noteworthy given that North Wales is home to magnificent castles like Conwy and Carnarvon. This entry resembled a succession of waterfalls in the well-known Dan Year Gof show caves more than anything else. There were 3 accessible caves inside the cave system itself. Nonetheless, the major double-barreled underground waterfall in the Cathedral Cave may have been the most stunning and well-known of the group, the second cave. As we prefer easily accessible underground waterfalls, this one was a good fit. Although we thought the cheesy mash-up of Jurassic Park meets Indiana Jones was a little odd. We thought the natural beauty of the cave, as represented by these falls, managed to triumph over erroneous attempts to improve upon nature. We had no trouble included this waterfall in our list of the top 10 waterfalls in Great Britain. In order to get a sighting of this waterfall, it was rather difficult. To reach its peak, we may have made the strenuous 13-mile round-trip walk. But in the end, we went on a boat ride and saw the scene in the picture. This item was ultimately included on the list because the boat journey offered a variety of experiences. After all, it also included an abundance of animals, particularly seals, and breathtaking landscape in Loch Glencool and Loch Beag. But it barely beat out the many other waterfalls with comparable ratings.